Good morning, gardeners. Good morning from the Urban Harvest Teaching Garden. Hi, Karim.
Hey, Megan. Hey, everyone.
I am here with Karim Alston in the Urban Harvest Teaching Garden. If you're tuning in, would love to have a thumbs up that you can hear us, that you can see us, and tell us where you're joining from. My name is Megan Terry. I'm the Community Gardens Manager, and I am here to talk about mulch and compost. I'm just giving you a little view of our pollinator bed here. And Karim is from Grow Local Houston, is that right?
You're absolutely correct.
Great. And so we're going to be talking, I'll be asking Karim some questions about mulch and compost, and we'll be talking about the benefits of both, showing you some examples, and telling you some ways that you can get involved in community composting. And if you're not familiar with what Urban Harvest does, we help create thriving communities by providing access to local, healthy food. So, with that, Karim, hello.
Hey.
So, what for you are the benefits of mulch, and why should folks think about using mulch?
Well, many benefits to mulching. As you know, our summers in Texas can be quite hot.
Yes.
So, opposed to having the sun beating down on your soil,
right.
we end up retaining a whole lot of moisture by adding that mulching layer,
right.
which ends up breaking down and decomposes and ends up adding nutrients to your soil as well over time.
Right.
So mulching's good. It also gives your decomposers an opportunity to have a little bit more room to dance around.
Yes.
So many benefits to mulching.
Cool. So if we get close to this soil bed, for example, what are the decomposers, or what would we be seeing in our soil, and what would we not be seeing?
So things that we would see, you'd probably see worms, you'd see smaller insects, maybe little roaches, ants, all kinds of little things. Those are probably some of the visible decomposers.
Right.
Lots of microbes are actually within this small amount,
right.
millions, and they're working, and they're
right.
creating a communication network that's pretty awesome, that allows things to continue to break down and really give life to
yes.
any and everything that's coming up from the earth. So
right. So if
it's in there.
Right. So if someone is to ask if the soil is alive, your answer would be
absolutely. Yeah. As much as we are,
yes.
If not more. Yeah.
Right. Awesome. I see some folks tuning in. If you're just tuning in, give us a like. Tell us where you're joining from.
Mm-hmm.
If you have questions about mulch or compost today, feel free to ask them. I'll do my best to answer them. And so we are going to show some examples of mulch. So what are some examples and ways people can mulch in their garden bed?
All right, good question. Probably, good rule of thumb. Use what it is that's already in your space.
Right.
Oftentimes throughout the year, we got trees. If you're a property owner, those trees eventually are going to shed leaves come fall. It's a good opportunity to harvest those things and put them right back into the land where it is that they are coming from,
yeah.
opposed to disposing them elsewhere. Nothing wrong with disposing them elsewhere, as long as you're tying it back into some kind of composting system.
Yes, cool.
Yeah, we got some good old hay right here,
cool.
Which gives that same mulching layer. Also decomposes a lot faster.
Right.
We can go with probably a stronger, more solid. Let's see what we got in here. Oh yeah. So broken down tree bits, we have a
right.
stronger, more hardwood mulch that's very warm and decomposing quite nicely as well. I think your plants are going to love it, really from the moisture retention factor as well.
Yes, okay.
It really saves you a lot of time in watering as well as weeding.
Right.
So as I learned from the experts, good old Terry Garner.
Yeah.
Watering and weeding, those are the things that are your most time-consuming
right.
efforts when you're out in the garden space. And
yes.
Mulching saves a ton of time.
Right. And what would be the benefit of it being composted? Like, why would that be good that it's warm and that it's not just fresh from a tree that was just chipped up?
Well, it's already breaking down, so you got a whole lot of things working in this, even though it's bagged up
right.
and plastic wrapped for us.
Right.
Hey man, you've had some turning. Someone's been aerating it. That soil's probably been watered a whole lot before it ever went to the bag. The life activity is already starting to develop.
Right.
You probably have some mycelial networks happening,
nice.
some fungal networks that are being created within the soil. Just adding it as a top dress to whatever it is that you have already happening within your grow space.
Right.
It's just a win. It's a win on top of a win.
Yes.
So.
And so if you had a garden bed similar to this, or maybe not as full even of plants, how much mulch would we want to add? And can we do that today?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'd say a couple inches, depending on how deep you are. 2 to 3 inches, I think, is sufficient, depending on how often you're tending to your garden. If you're out there consistently, you want to top dress at least a couple times a year. I'd say add another layer on whenever you're rotating from spring to fall.
Right.
And yeah, main thing is just paying attention. Pay attention to your plants. See what's actually happening with the leaves. See what's happening with the colors. Yeah, as well as your frequencies and watering. All of these things are important.
Right.
But
That's great.
If we were to have an area that, say, was just open soil and it was getting beat up by the sun, yeah, easy thing to do. Just take a bit of that which it is that you have. If hay is available, I'd say go ahead and run with it.
Yeah. This hay we end up purchasing, but of course you said leaf matter, pine needle, something like that. That would be potentially a free resource.
Oh yeah, leaf matter, pine needles are great. I live up in the piney woods, a little bit north of Huntsville, and there are pine needles everywhere. Pros and cons. Pine needles are great as far as a cover because you have that aeration factor, and everything gets a chance to sort of wiggle in there.
Yeah.
Sometimes snakes and other little things, but
some people like that or don't.
That's part of it. At the same time, they take a while to decompose. So if you had a chipper or a leaf shredder and you run it through there and then apply it, just breaking it down a little bit more makes it a little bit more porous, and it allows that water retention to happen, especially when it rains. You can tell the difference in regards to how saturated your earth is when you have these things.
Right.
But leaves in the city, a lot of people discard leaves. Our city has a composting, as far as leaf composting. They do take earthen materials. At the same time, a lot of people put them out as waste.
Right, bag them up and leave them on the curb. Yeah.
Leave them on the curb.
Yes.
So yeah, if you're a person of practicing reconnaissance, go on out there and harvest your leaves, or ask your neighbors ahead of time. If you got a truck, hey, sometimes it's best to just drive around and see what it is that's available. Right. And most people don't mind. I've had some curbside interactions. What are you doing? Yeah. Hey man, what are you gonna do with your leaves? Oh, I'm gonna throw them away. Do you mind if I use them? Right. You know, I'm an avid gardener, and I could actually put them to practical use, opposed to letting them fill in the landfill. Yeah. So yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
cool. And so if you're using this hay, I think that we either use coastal or alfalfa hay, and you want to get hay that doesn't have seed pods. Is that right?
Correct, yeah.
Because that would then you'd be growing instead in your bed without meaning to. Correct.
Well, you can grow in something else. Yeah.
Got it.
Indeed.
Got it. So you could use mulch. You can put it on pretty thick. The hay layer. You can also use the leaves. And what would be another example? We had our hardwood mulch, right? Mm-hmm. And this you could use in your garden bed, you'd say?
Absolutely. Okay. Absolutely. So, same concept. Yeah. A lot of it is going around, making sure you got the water retention around the roots and the root system. Right. So, I'm just going to give a light example.
So it's not only weed suppression, but you're also keeping moisture in the soil bed. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Works for both. Yeah. So, yeah, pretty simple process. But long term, you're a friend of mine, I was at his place yesterday, and he asked me, what is it that I grow? And I told him, hey man, I don't really grow plants in the consideration of providing food. I'm trying to grow soil at this stage. Yeah. And eventually I want to get to that space to where as seeds just drop, they just naturally take on. I'd like to have that space that has that kind of abundance. So it's about growing soil season after season after season. And I think the more you pay attention to growing your soil, the results and the yields and the harvest are going to be there. It's just a natural process. Yeah. So
that's great. So healthy soil does equal healthy plants.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. That's great. Cool. Any questions from folks at this point about mulch, or any types of mulch that we haven't talked about that you've used in your garden? We'd love to hear from you. Yeah. How about people who use plastic liners or plastic mulch or things like that that aren't necessarily organic? Did they work? Did they not work? What's the pros, cons in your mind?
In my mind, I do my best to stay with things that are natural to the earth.
Okay.
I don't have a lot of experience because I haven't used them.
Yeah.
As far as I know, they have tire shred
Right.
mulch, which is pretty much rubber tires
Right.
ground up that looks like mulch.
Right.
Yeah, honestly, I don't have a lot of experience with them
Yeah.
as far as using them.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Because the major benefit of using our mulch that is organic is that it's going back into the soil.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And as you know, the rubber mulch, it may look aesthetically pretty much the same as wood-covered mulch, heavy wood mulch, and you probably wouldn't have to, it's not going to break down, so you're not going to have to apply it
Right.
year in over
Yeah.
year in, but it's not going to feed anything
Right.
below it,
Right.
and because it's not decomposing.
Got
So to me, that's a deterrent. I'm going
Yes.
to stick to the natural method.
Right. Totally. Got it. Cool. All right. Well, if we don't have any more to talk about with mulch, we're going to move on to compost.
Mm-hmm.
And so you can add compost as a mulch layer and as a deterrent for weeds and keeping moisture in there as well. Is that right?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Compost works great. Just depending on what stage your garden is in.
Yeah.
Depends on what kind of compost. And I know a lot of people, see compost as a challenging process. I think it's something that needs to be in every garden, especially if you're a grower. You're going to have some things that you're going to pull every season,
Right.
and things that are naturally going to break off. Your food waste discards as well,
Yes.
opposed to letting go to the landfill and create more methane emissions.
Right.
A lot of this can be put back into the earth, even directly,
Yes.
if your soil is deep enough
Right.
to break it down.
Okay, great. Do you want to show an example of our compost that we have?
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's go. Let's make sure we don't trip over our wires, and we'll take a little trip. So we have what's called a tumbler. Is that right?
That is a tumbler for real, double layer.
Yes. And I'll hand you this. This is from my mandarin peel.
All right. Well, I wouldn't put the mandarin peel in
Oh, why? Yeah.
the tumbler. Multiple reasons. The acidity in it, one, if you had any worms or worm activity, it's going to repel them or eventually take them out.
Got it. Yes.
And at the same time, they take longer to break down and decompose.
Right.
So good alternative use. Hey, it also repels certain bugs. You could easily make your own DIY bug repellent from the peel,
cool.
or use it in the kitchen for an alternative use, maybe as a zest on
Right.
a dish that you're using.
Yes.
But peels, I'm not
going to put
putting
in the tumbler. All right. There's a good lesson for folks who may not know that.
Oh yeah. So
Cool.
yeah, same with onions and garlic as well. Yeah, those are ones you want to keep out.
Got it. All right. Well, let's see what else is in there.
All
then.
right.
You can throw that on the ground then.
Yeah. Take care of that later. Oh yeah, so we got some good old happiness happening.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely breaking down. It's in a stage to where you see a lot of things decomposing. You got a lot of twigs, hardwood matter. That is going to take a while, but I also see some bugs, some smaller animals in between, making things happen. Nice and moist as well, and it's warm.
Good.
You can definitely tell the difference.
And what would be the benefits of a tumbler system like this that's pretty closed?
One, it's off the ground, so
Okay.
you're keeping away any animals,
Right.
any rodents, possums, squirrels, raccoons, dogs. They're not going to be able to access the space. You can lock it up if you need to.
Yeah.
At the same time, the tumbler provides a whole lot of ease, opposed to you having to do backbreaking work with the shovel or a
Yes.
pitchfork like me.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, it's super convenient, especially if you have a limited amount of space and you don't have the ability to have different turn piles.
Right.
So yeah, tumbler works great. Tumbler
Cool.
works great.
What would be some other examples? Oh, thanks, Carol. I see Carol posting the magical compost story. We have many resources for compost on our website, urbanharvest.org,
Carol.
and definitely check that out. What way do you compost where you're at then?
So a couple different ways. I'll just say at home, I do a thing where I turn piles. So I'll go from 1 to 5 or 6 stacks.
Okay.
And as I'm adding new vegetation into the pile,
Yes.
I'm adding it in. So I'm doing what some people call lasagna layering.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll add a layer of green material. I'll lightly spray it, soak it down.
Yes.
All right. I'll add a layer of brown material. Lightly spray it, soak it down.
Right.
Not to where it's wet and soggy,
Yes.
but to where that heat, that aeration starts to happen
Right.
naturally as you start to layer up. And same thing, add your green vegetation in, water it down.
Yes.
That way you start to have that natural decomposition happen. Depending on how my week's going, hey, I may turn it a couple times during the week. At least once a week I'm turning. That way I can start to work it into the next pile of decomposition. And I just keep rotating until I get to the end and I have a stronger, finished, more brown, broken down product at the end. And
so similar concept though in that system for this close, you would add to one section and let the other side finish, we would say.
For the most part,
Okay.
yeah, absolutely.
So what does the second side look like then?
Okay, good look. So yeah.
Oh, okay, so this is fresh material in there then.
Very fresh, still green.
Yep.
Still got a lot of oxygen in the plant. Yeah, it's at the early stages of breaking down. Not as warm, but at the same time, yeah, it's all in timing.
Yes.
Timing and nurturing. It'll
Yes.
break down.
And how long from start to finish does your system take at this point?
Well, this is the first time I'm doing it at volume.
Okay.
Composting is something that I've a little history about me. I've been very active within the growing and food space probably within the last year and a half, 2 years.
Yes.
It's about 5 years since I really started saving seeds and growing.
Yeah.
The plan was to grow orchards
Right.
from seeds from foods that I
Wow.
eat. And I'm in a pretty good stage now to where that development's happening. So
Cool.
composting is something that I'm gaining passion about, really just because I'm learning there's so much waste that's going into the landfill. We're
Right.
putting, from a data stance, hey, 40% of what it is that's grown just in this country never even makes it to the store or to someone's plate.
Right.
That's 40%, all right? Of that, the other 60%, we're putting 365 million pounds of food that daily
Yes.
that's being wasted.
Yes.
So to me, it's just, we as humans can have better practices.
Yes.
And I myself, I want to find truth within my existence here. So
Yes.
I have to be an active practitioner of that which it is that I see as important.
Yeah.
So I decided to take steps, strong steps, and become an advocate of what composting actually does for our earth. So
Yes, that's awesome. Cool.
yeah, it's been a fun journey. So
Good work.
I'm learning. But yeah, the development, we'll see how it goes.
Right.
Yeah.
Great. And so where can people compost in Houston? Say they live in an apartment, they don't have room for a tumbler like this or even a compost pile. Where can they
Sure.
compost?
All right, so one thing we do at Grow Local Community Composting, every Saturday at the Urban Harvest Farmers Market, we offer a drop-off service. We charge a $1 service fee for up to a 5-gallon bucket. We're very flexible
Wow.
in regards to that which it is that you're bringing in as far as volume is concerned. And we
Yes.
do have information on our Instagram. You can go to Houston Compost on Instagram at
Great.
Houston Compost.
Great.
And we have pretty much a list of the do's and the don'ts, what it is that we do take and accept. Same thing with the orange peels, onions.
Yes.
We're not taking those. No meat-based products.
Got it. Yep.
We're not turning those. And yeah, every Saturday we're at the Urban Harvest Farmers Market from 8 to 12, taking it in at the booth. You'll find us easy right by the parking garage.
Great. That's awesome. All right.
Yes.
Well, hope to see you there next time. And so people can bring their own buckets or take away or bring in like reusable bags or something like that? Or
Great
maybe
question.
not reusable. Biodegradable bags?
Bio bags, yeah. Bio bags are common. A lot of people have them. They're the green bags that eventually break down.
Okay.
Looks like plastic, but it's not plastic.
Yes.
Some people actually take, a lot of people are doing this because it's also a space of educating and advocating for composting. So I started off just simply taking my green waste and putting it in the freezer
Yes.
and allowing it to freeze. That way, come Saturday morning, hey, I can take it out, or as it's going to my compost, I take it out and I bring it down. So a lot of people are bringing it that way. Some
Got it.
have their own buckets and containers.
Yes.
And we don't sell buckets.
Okay.
The goal is to keep as much out of the landfill
Yes.
as possible, food as well as plastic.
Yes.
So that's something that may be a little different in our system in
Yes.
regards to composting opposed to other services.
Right.
But it's something we're going to stick to. To me,
Great.
it's better for the earth.
Yeah.
And yeah, that compost ends up going to one of three facilities that ends up getting turned over, and it ends up going back to our school garden program, which is Green East End, which is on Instagram as well.
Awesome. Oh,
So-
great. Thank you so much, Karim. Anything else to add about compost and mulch today?
Hey, if you haven't started, get started. And a lot of apartment dwellers, high-risers, you know, they say, "Oh, I don't have room to do it." I say,
Right.
"Hey, well, do you have a freezer?"
Yes.
I don't have space. Well, hey, man, you know, would you be considered making a little space? It's a minimal investment, but at the same time, it has huge returns. And if you're a parent or a father or someone who is cognizant and aware that there's going to be a generation who has to be the custodians of this space when we leave, you start to see the value in it over time. To me, that's what I'll encourage. Anybody can start. Hopefully, all human beings start and continue the process. And that, you know, if you're in the area of coming down to Curvy on
Yes.
Saturday, hey, come and see us. We're going to be smiling. We'll weigh you up, and we'll make sure that everything goes back into the system, into the earth as it should.
Great. Thanks so much, Karim. Loved
right.
having you today. Thanks for your time.
Thank you for having me.
Learned
as
a lot
always.
as well. Thank you. And I'm just going to pan out to show our garden, and then we can wrap up. But you are tethered, so I just don't want to rip the mic.
I'll walk with you.
Yeah, that's awesome. Just to show you the summer growth in the Urban Harvest Teaching Garden at this point. I think, are there still tomatoes going? Yeah, some. These are cherry tomatoes. Hibiscus is in the back, the roselle with zinnia flowers. Lots and lots of growth this summer, and lots of mulching.
Yeah, I see it. Beautiful.
Yeah. So definitely check out our free resources on the Urban Harvest website. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook. And perfect, Carol provided more details about the drop-off on your Instagram. Oh, and David, hi David, good morning, asked,
Hey,
where
David.
can I get one of those t-shirts?
Man, that's the question of the month. David, be ready. I'll have them at the market. Give me a little time. I want to make sure I have the quality right with the shirt. Give me a couple weeks. I will have the Grow Local shirts ready. That's
Awesome.
like fifth
Yes.
time.
Great, and we'll share
Love
that. Perfect. And there's also a resource if you're interested in getting involved in community gardens. You can find our community gardens page on our website, as well as our Facebook group, Urban Harvest Community Gardens. So definitely get involved if you would like to learn more and find out resources on how to grow and create your own edible landscape here in Houston.
Right on.
Thanks, Karim. Have a great day.
Hey, thanks, Megan. Thanks, guys.